نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد. So Masjid al-Aqsa, now this is what I wanted to share with you all, is Masjid al-Aqsa. Masjid al-Aqsa is the name of the entire compound area. So here you go, all of this area that you can see, this is entire Masjid al-Aqsa. So Masjid al-Aqsa in Jerusalem is not the Qibli Masjid, and neither just Dome of the Rock, but it is the entire area, and this is the place that where that has been established since time immemorial. So this entire area is Masjid al-Aqsa, as you can see the walls and the border. So what's the size of it? It's approximately 35 acres. So even though it seems small in the picture, but it's actually around about 35 acres, and there are so many other significant monuments and places inside this area. So you have, like, for example, 15 gates, 14 to 15 gates, entrances to Masjid al-Aqsa. Yeah, so unfortunately, which much of it, as 4 or 5 of them have now been closed by the Zionists. You have the Burak wall itself, you have so many other things. You have the minarets, the mihrabs, wells, everything that's in here anyway. I've explored all of this in my YouTube videos of Masjid al-Aqsa. You can make reference to them in detail, but I'll just give you a brief summary of this, of the main places. So the first one is looking at this masjid here with the grey dome, where many people assume that it's Masjid al-Aqsa. That's actually called the Masjid al-Qibli. Okay, that's not called Masjid al-Aqsa. It's called the Jami al-Qibli or Masjid al-Qibli, and whose foundation was placed by Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. When Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu conquered, liberated peacefully Baytul Maqdis, and he came to see Masjid al-Aqsa, this whole area became like a dump yard, because the Christian, they desecrated this whole area, because remember at that time that it was under the Byzantine rule, and they used to persecute the Jews a lot, and this area is holy to is sacred to the Jews as well as sacred to the Muslims. So in order to express their hatred to the Jews at that time, they desecrated this whole area by treating it as a dump yard. And just imagine over the years of how much of dump and scrap must have accumulated on this whole area. So Sayyidina Umar along with the Sahabas, they cleansed this entire area. And after cleaning this entire area, that's when Sayyidina Umar he set the foundations of the Jami al-Qibli, and it was a masjid made from timber wood. Which is enough to accommodate only for about few thousand people. Then later on, during the Umayyad period, they then extended this masjid, and now is known as the Jami al-Qibli. Why is it called that? Why is it referred to the Jami al-Qibli? Is because this is directly facing south towards the Kaaba, right? So that's what al-Qibli, meaning the Jami masjid that's facing towards the Qibla direction. Yes, it's facing towards the Qibla direction. So that's why it's called the Jami al-Qibli. Then you have here the Musalla Marwani. You notice here, this is Musalla Marwani. Again, this was constructed by the Umayyads during the 8th century. And then it was renovated. And this is the area and the place. If you go under the Masjid al-Marwani, this is underground actually. If you go there, that's where you will see the chamber of Sayyidah Maryam alayhi salatu wasalam, where she used to spend most of her time in ibadah. Again, I've explored all of this in my YouTube videos of exploring the entire Palestine, the Masjid al-Aqsa areas, and the historical landmarks. I've just covered everything there. And then you have the Dome of the Rock, which was again built by Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, and whose construction took about approximately 3 to 4 years, and it was $1 million project. And so many time, so much energy, so much money that was invested in constructing this monument. And why did he do this? Was because to commemorate the place of the Prophet ﷺ's Mi'raj. So where the Prophet ﷺ ascended to the heavens, it was there to commemorate. That's one of the reasons. Now, there is an assumption to say that there's a rock under this under this golden dome that's floating in midair. That's not true. Okay, there's a kind of like an assumption, and many people do ask this even till today, that is it true that there's a rock that's floating in midair? That's not true. There's no authentic narration regarding this. But nevertheless, that rock is there to symbolize two things. Number one is the place that where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam ascended to the Mi'raj, number one. And number two was to commemorate that this was the Qibla. The rock there was the Qibla for the early prophets and for the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam during the early days of prophethood, right? Now you notice here the dome of the chain. You notice here the dome of the chain is a miniature dome, right? That miniature dome there is to mark the exact center point of the entire Masjid al-Aqsa area. So that dome of the chain, and why is it called Qubbatul? It's called Qubbatul Silsila. There are many different reasons. I talk about this in my video. I don't go into the detail, but the significance of that there is that it marks the exact center point of the entire Al-Aqsa compound, the 35-acre area. Yes, that's why. And by the way, I just want to mention about the Dome of the Rock. Forgot to mention. If you go there and you pray Salah there and you just admire the beautiful structure, every single corner of Dome of the Rock is symmetrical. It's exactly the same. The way that the structure has been designed, each corner is with exact precision and it's symmetrical. Yes. And the Quranic verse that's written around the Dome of the Rock is Surah Al-Yasin. So you have an inscription of Surah Al-Yasin. I have, again, done a video of the Dome of the Rock and the interior view of the Dome of the Rock and the old Quranic inscriptions during the times of the Tabi'in, during the times of the Sahabas Tabi'in, the very old inscriptions of the Quran without the Fatha, without the Nuktas, without the Zabazir Pesh, that's all inscribed inside the Dome of the Rock, which predates to the time of the Tabi'in and the Sahaba Ikram radiallahu anhum ajma'in. But in any case, that's mentioned. There's another thing I want to share with you is the Burak wall. The Burak wall here, which is on the left-hand side of your screen. Now, it is quite long. Now, this is known as the Burak wall, or what the Jews refer to as the Wailing Wall. Now, why do we refer to the Burak wall? Is because it is believed through sources that that's where the Prophet ﷺ tied this Burak animal before he entered Masjid al-Aqsa to lead the prophets in prayer, and he ascended to the heavens. Now, just to mention regarding the story of Mi'raj, the Burak animal stayed here. It did not ascend to the heavens with the Prophet ﷺ. But rather, there comes in a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that right at the center point, at the point where the Dome of the Rock is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened up the heavens, and a ladder or a stairways had descended. And the Prophet ﷺ with Jibreel alayhi salam, they ascended to the heavens, whilst the Burak animal remained tied to this wall. So the Burak animal did not ascend. It was when the Prophet ﷺ, when he came back to the earth, came to Masjid al-Aqsa, mounted the Burak wall, and then went back to Makkah al-Mukarramah. So that's why that's called the Burak wall. And as for the Jews, over the Zionists, why do they sanctify the Burak wall? Is because that is the remaining part of the Herod's temple. I'll talk about that inshallah shortly. But in any case, these are some of the other places. For example, you have the Babu Rahma. Babu Rahma is the door of Rahma. This is the Muslim cemetery. This is where the Muslim cemetery is, and this is where the two Sahabas are buried there. The two Tamim al-Dari radiallahu ta'ala and I can't remember the name of the second Sahabi, is not coming to my mind. But if it does, inshallah, I will mention. But in any case, the two Sahabis are buried there. This is the cemetery in the Masjid al-Aqsa. And you have the Babu Rahma, the Golden Gates. This Golden Gate, this is where it's believed that Imam Ghazali rahmatullah alayhi wrote some parts of his Ihya al-Ulumuddin. And you finally have the museum here, right on the left-hand side. So where the Jami Qibli is, to the left-hand side, right? Okay, here where I've marked as red, that is the Islamic Museum. And there's a whole history behind that. What was it before? Again, I discuss all that in my videos. So that's a place that's worth visiting, because that's why it has all of the ancient artifacts, in there. Even the original member of Nuruddin Zangi, rahimahullah, is in this place.